Capitol Hill has been pushing back against the White House, and the Republican Party has lost a key interventionist against the backdrop of an increasingly isolationist party. Lindsey Graham, the senator from South Carolina, has died over the weekend. Jon Lieber of Eurasia Group wrote this: Graham was a hawk on Iran and cultivated a lot of relationships overseas, one of the most prominent Republican senators on foreign policy. John, we have a hole in that party this morning. What are your reflections on the senator from South Carolina and what it means for the outlook for foreign policy for his party?
Yeah, I mean, look, Lindsey Graham was he would be the first to tell you that he was in favor of an extremely interventionist American foreign policy. He'd been somebody that had wanted the U.S. to target Iran for a very long time. And he was a key interlocutor across the Middle East, across Europe, for the U.S. and for the Republican Party on that interventionist agenda. And of course, importantly, he was also an important influence on Donald Trump, who kept a lot of the relationship alive and warm with the United States Senate when a lot of people wanted to walk away from Trump. And I think we have to give Graham a lot of credit for pivoting from being one of Trump's biggest critics to being somebody who was pretty effective at pushing the president towards this more interventionist stance that we've seen in Iran, in Venezuela, and even keeping a lot of the U.S. influence alive in Ukraine. So I think that's an important role that Graham played. It's not entirely clear who will play that. Now, of course, the president's got a lot of other influences around him, and he's in this war far too deep now to back out of it. But over the longer term, this is going to represent a shift in the Republican Party, like you said, John, from this interventionist type like Lindsey Graham, who are, sadly dying off, to the more isolationist Republican that I think keeps the U.S. out of these types of foreign entanglements.
John, he wasn't just an interlocutor on the international stage, also domestically. It wasn't just Republican senators in the White House. He also was an individual that has very long-term relationships with Democrats. Who can fill that kind of void, an individual that's almost a fixer behind the scenes?
I'm not sure we know yet. A lot of the new generation of Republicans are quite a bit younger. Graham had been around a long time, since about 25, 26 years in the United States Senate. And I don't think you see those kinds of relationships developing the way they did, or they could have. They had spaced to 20 years ago when members would go on congressional delegations together frequently and generally were much more positively inclined towards each other. So I think it might be, you're going to lose a bit of bipartisanship, too, with the passing of the torch to the new generation.
Do you think there's more of a chance now with his passing that the Russian sanctions bill gets put through and Trump signs it?
I doubt it. I think that bill faces hurdles, and Graham was one of the biggest proponents. I don't think Trump's in favor of it. Now, that probably depends on what happens in Ukraine. The dynamic over the last month or two has been that the Ukrainians have sort of got a boost of momentum, have been attacking a lot more deep into Russia, and so as a result are looking like they're on their front foot instead of their back foot in that war. That dynamic could actually help push the Trump administration to be much more tougher on Russia and maybe potentially embrace those sanctions. But they've got to get past Iran right now, and they've got to get past the bigger issues they're dealing with across Latin America as well.
John, another key senator in focus as well is a man that you've worked quite closely with in the past, Senator Mitch McConnell. Can I get your reflections on what's happening with Senator Mitch McConnell? Because it was a bit of a mystery up until the last 24 hours, and for some remains a bit of a mystery.
Yeah, and so mystery that Senator McConnell is getting up there in years, and he had a childhood battle with polio that has, I think, affecting him to this day. He's announced his intention to step down, and he's going to be vacating his seat for the next generation in this upcoming election cycle. And I think that, he's always been fairly private about his health, and he doesn't share a lot of details. And so what we've seen is an aging senator dealing with health issues who doesn't really want to talk about it in public. And I think that's led to a lot of speculation about what's actually going on with him. He's not missing any important votes at the moment, and he's finally over the weekend released a statement giving some clarity about what's going on. I think that we're looking at the end of a long and well-regarded career for him. And, I wish him all the best in his recovery from this illness.
John, we appreciate your clarity this morning. Thank you. Jon Lieber there of Eurasia Group.